So recently, people have been approaching me with family conflicts, resolving family disputes, and most of the scenarios that comes at me, it's heartbreaking. So I come from the typical African family where you have both parents around and you have a lot of siblings growing up with you together. And I must say that throughout growing up, I have realized that family conflict is unavoidable, and especially when you have different personalities, different values, and people with different understandings in the same household, conflict can be unavoidable. Not to talk about its impact on mental, psychological, your health, and sometimes it is just draining because you don't know how to address this issue, you don't know who to talk to, and it is heartbreaking. Today in this video, I am going to discuss with you family conflicts, their causes, the solutions, and what best can be done to address such issues, especially in circumstances where you don't have the courage to deal with them. Catalyst, stay tuned. If you have ever had a disagreement, misunderstanding, tension with your husband, your spouse, your partner, your kids, which usually involves verbal argument and differing mindsets and ideas, this can be draining, and you sure know the feeling that I am talking about. Catalyst, I understand that your mind and mental health is very essential for you to be able to succeed and enjoy your success. This is why I know that regardless of the fact that family conflict can be unavoidable, we should not cover it up and not speak about it because it is draining. With the current statistics of about 3.8% of the population being depressed, and the fact that women are at more risk of suffering depression, not to talk about almost 10% of women being depressed during pregnancy, post-pregnancy. This is alarming, and currently the rates of suicides are high, and it is so disheartening to know that the very place that people seek for satisfaction is where all these things are stemming from, the family. Now let's explore some of these causes, and then we will later see how we can deal with it. So usually in our homes, we get these things coming up because, first of all, there is lack of communication. Communication is very important. And so if there is everything coming from one side and you don't get answers, you don't get the other end communicating to you on what is happening and the way forward, it is frustrating. Most partners seem to choose silence in places where they should talk. This can be misconceived by the other partner. If you don't talk, you are communicating. And this communication can be misconceived to the other person on the other side. So I had the opportunity to meet these couples who have been married for 12 years in my line of duty, and I asked them, what has been the number one thing that has stuck you together? And they said, communication. Because they said the first time they met, they had misunderstandings. It was a fresh start, and they had just went for an occasion at a family's residence, and misunderstanding started because what was seen to be usual for the male's family was not usual for her. To be a female who had just met this partner and yet to settle up with him, they experienced several disagreements. But do you know the most interesting thing, Catalyst? This is what they told me. When we came back from that end after the holidays, we sought to resolve all the disputes. So I asked Why did this happen? And the lady explained. And when the man got to understand why she did what she did, it was like, oh, I misperceived your communication for this. Communication, miscommunication, and misperception in our families are growing. People are getting drained from this. And it is better for you to communicate with your partner than not to say a word. It is better for you to say something to your sister, to your brother, to that sibling, than not to say a word and just leave them to sway down the sliding way. And not to talk about the second one, which is obviously differences in personality and differences in values. Most people who tend to have some reserved type of personality tend not to be communicating much. I just want you, catalyst, to bear in mind that people are different. The values they hold within to be able to get to where they are all different. Respect people's values and personality. Know your space in your family house. Do not overcross your space. Some people do not like their spaces being overcrossed. If they do not want it, do not overcross your space. Maintain your space and leave their space for them. When they feel like they want to come closer to have a family time, they will. But if you don't give them that space that they want, there would always be a clash. And this would start up a family conflict. Now, the third thing that usually contributes to this that people might not know is external pressures. Most often than not, we tend to get a lot of stresses coming outside the family. And so we expect that the family be the basis and be the environment where these stresses are tamed and not to be escalated. So if an individual is having a hard time with finances, having a hard time with work. Stress can be work related, it can be relocation, it can be job loss, it can be health issues. These external factors tend to affect our mood a lot. And so if we are not getting the support we need in the family to calm us down, to help us with our stresses, things will get escalated. So this is what advice. Know people's mood and give them the support when necessary. Do not, I repeat, do not escalate stresses from outside. And I would always tell anyone, if you've stressed outside, leave it at the doorpost before you enter the house. But however, as human as we are, we know that sometimes we will carry the stresses into the house. But if we do, the other people around us are supposed to create that environment for us to feel that it is all right, to feel that we are okay, and to feel that we are at home. And to the fourth most common cause of family conflict, sibling rival. This is where all the jealousy, all the attention-seeking behaviors tend to get into the way. And this becomes draining when two parents are torn apart into every side of their kids. If there are two kids and the parents are torn into each other's side, it becomes difficult not to start a family conflict. But if the parents are able to know, set the ground rules, and establish a uniform treatment for all kids, sibling rival will not start. Probably you do not know, but these conflicts that are caused by several factors, as I have mentioned, goes a long way to affect us. See, stress and anxiety is killing people. If I present to you the figures, you would be surprised at the rate stress and anxiety is draining people mentally and draining their health. We cannot afford to be stressed in our homes. We cannot afford not to have that great mind to continue our endeavors and ensure that we succeed. Success seekers, do not let anything distract your success-seeking behaviors. Do not let anything come in between you and what you are going for. Stop family conflict now. It is draining. See, research has shown that children who are exposed to unresolved family conflict tend to replicate it in the future in their families. So, this is what I tell parents. Kids are so much vulnerable and so much quick to just pick up anything they see. So this is what you have to do. When conflicts arise, when it seems like there is an argument and there is a misunderstanding, first thing is open and honest communication. Communicate with your spouse. Communicate with your partner. Tell them what is happening. Let them know what is happening within. And hey, do not be silent. Silence can be misconceived. Speak up. Be honest, open up. Let your partner know what is going on and let him know how bad it is for you. Now, this is what I advise. The World Health Organization has come up with conflict resolution matters, and it's all about do what matters most. So I just want us to go through a few, and the first one is grounding. In the midst of a conflict, just take it slowly, ground your feet, take in some air, breathe, and assess the situation. Do not act hurriedly and regret your actions later. The next thing I want you to do is to unhook the feelings and thoughts. You cannot continue to hold the feelings, thoughts, anxiety. It will drag you. It will make you find 1 minute you're all excited with your family and the next minute you just don't want to do anything anymore. Do not be drained by your thoughts, your feelings, and your anxieties. Unhook them before they hook you down. Catalyst, I don't want anything coming in and draining you and moving you away from your catalyst journey. So unhook from it. One more thing I want you to do is to talk up, speak up. Open up and share it with a third party. If you do not want to do it with someone you are familiar with, you can share it with a third party who you are unfamiliar with. Seek meditation, seek counseling, seek help. I do not want you dying in silently. Speak up. And the last thing I want you to consider, Catalyst, is that check the effect of any action. If you need to respond, check. If you do not have to respond, check. Ask yourself the effect of you responding or not responding to the situation before you act. Do not feel you are bound to respond to it. If it is one that is set to drain you, it will drain you. But analyze it, choose what is best for you, and go for it. Now, catalyze suicide is still up. Percentages are still draining. See, if you think you can't do anything anymore, just seek help and do not die silently. And before we end this, guys, do not entertain the thoughts of suicide. Before you take any action, just evaluate the effects of response. Weigh it out, which is better to respond or not to respond before you take action. If you know anybody contemplating of suicide, you know what to do. Speak up, report it, and get the person some help. Do not keep quiet. If you yourself are under any emotional stress or anxiety, speak up. You can contact me, but speak up. Speak up for yourself and let us hear you and help you. Before we meet again, guys, if you are not liking, subscribing, or sharing, then I don't know what you're waiting for. Do not succumb to family conflict.